Hello everybody, we're back working on these axles. I had some stuff to do yesterday, but back in here today. And David, if you're watching, I'm going to give you some instructions for what to do when you get these home and you go to put your disc brakes on. Now, this is your axle flange here, and everything is shimmed properly. You don't have to mess with these shims on either side. These are not the correct bolts that go in here. The original bolts were fine thread. I just put some bolts in here so I could get the end place set up. So you're going to need new bolts. I don't know if they come in the kit. Your original bolts are pretty mangled up, and I know they're going to be too short because a bracket goes on here to hold your caliper. So I'm going to leave this at this point right here. When you get this, you're going to take these bolts out. Get the correct size bolts once you figure out how thick the bracket is. You're going to put the bracket on. Then you're going to put a gasket on. Then you're going to put this outer oil seal on. And then another gasket. So you got a gasket, you got the oil seal, you got a gasket. And then after that, you put your grease protector here. That goes over everything. And remember, we're keeping that drain hole right here. We're keeping that all lined up with everything when we put it together. You see, that would go on like that. You want to keep that open. And then your drain on that would go down like that. If anything gets through, drips right out, you can see it, and you can go in there and fix your seal. Now once all that stuff is on, then you're going to go put your hub on. You'll have your bracket on, you're going to put your hub on, and when you put your hub on, and I know I've been over this a bunch of times, but nobody seems to get it right. We'll try and stay out of the camera. You put your hub on like that most of the way. Don't hammer it on or anything. Just put it on there so it's loosely on there. There's your key. You see the tapered side. That has to face down and it has to go in. And you take your key and you tap it in there till it's flush. Then you take your washer and your nut and you tighten that down. Now I'm not going to put this on right now because I don't want him to have to put a puller on there to get it off. But that's how your key goes in. That's how your hub goes on. Put it on loosely, taper down and in, tap it in, put your nut on there. Now that might take 200 foot-pounds or so to get that so that the cotter pin hole lines up. Don't worry, you're not gonna. You could put 500 pounds of torque on that. It's not going to mess up your nut. It's not going to mess up the threads. Put it on there, tighten it. I usually go to a minimum of 150, and then sometimes I got to go to the next slot, and sometimes I can get over 200 foot-pounds. No big deal. Take it to 200, take it to 250. It's no big deal. Do whatever you need to do to get that slot lined up. So, this is how you're going to get the axle, David. I am going to take some stretch wrap and wrap it all around here so no dirt can get in there. I'm going to put all your critical parts that you're going to need in a box. You'll get it home. You'll take these bolts out and you have to figure out the right ones depending on the bracket. Get some good grade 8 North American made bolts, washers or lock nuts, whatever you prefer. Your bearings in here are greased already. Maybe after you drive it for a couple hundred miles, maybe throw a couple pumps of grease in there. It's hard to see in the camera, but there is a relief hole here. When you see grease coming out of the top of that, you know you're good. This entire tube on both sides was packed with grease because they had no grease seal on one side and the other side was mangled up. But that's how you're going to put your rear hub together. Oil seal, grease protector there, that metal plate, then your hub, and then you put your rotor on there. But I'm not sure how thick that is, and I don't think you get bolts in the kit. But get the kit, have it on hand, get yourself some good bolts, and put that bracket on and build from there. Everything else is set up and ready to go. Right now, I am working on the... Let's see if I can find them for you. There it is. I'm working on the Knuckles right now, and I had a question from a viewer, Jack, who always watches my videos, wondering about polishing this up. You just have to make sure that's clean. When you're doing this and you have the knuckle off, it's a good time to put your felt on, twist your rubber seal around there, and then that's just going to ride on there. As long as there's no burrs or any grit or anything like that, just clean that up the best you can, and your seal's going to ride on it. And it's going to have a film of grease on there, which is going to help keep it nice and lubricated. So just make sure there's no big, burrs on there, and you'll be fine. If you're doing this work and you don't take the knuckle off, you have to make a cut in your felt to get it on there. But when you're doing it like this, just don't forget to put your felt, your seal, and I got the metal plates will go on there, and I'll show you that as I do it. And on the front, I'm going to put the spindles on, and again, those aren't going to be the right size bolts. You have to put your bracket on there, so I'm just going to loosely put those on with a couple bolts. You'll take those out, put your bracket on, put some good quality grade 8 bolts in there with sealer, because your knuckle's going to be greased. Knuckle's going to be dry when you get it. I'm going to give you plenty of knuckle lube to put in there. And then your hubs are going to be all loaded up. You put those on, adjust those, and then your rotor goes on and you're all set to go. So I'm making progress on here. I'm chipping away at things, and hopefully we'll be finished up by I think Wednesday. I think today's Tuesday. I should be finished up by Wednesday, and I will catch you when you get up here, David. But I'm going to continue working on these. I'll show you things as I need to, and just refer to this if you need to when you get home and you're wondering how to put everything together. Everything will be in one box that you need to put your axles together. So that's where I'm at. I'll catch up with you guys in just a little bit. Okay, David, this is what your hub is going to look like when you get it. This is your front hub. Bearings are greased. It's loaded. Hub seal's on there. This is ready to go on. This is what your spindle is. Spindle bushing's in there. Brand new nut and washer set here in the order it's got to go on. Washer, nut, washer, nut. So I have a wheel bearing video, but you're going to put your washer on, take your first nut down to 50 foot-pounds while you're rotating the wheel, and then back off one nut flat. So basically, if you wound up there and that's your nut flat, you put that one there. So you preload it at 50 pounds, back that off 1/6 of a turn, one nut flat, put your outer one on, torque it to 50 foot-pounds, get in there with a bar, bend your washer over, bend the tab of the washer over so that this nut can't loosen, and your wheel bearings will be adjusted properly. I'm going to wrap them up in some shrink wrap so they don't get dirty. Your spindles will be on the axle. Your hubs will be in the box, and you put your bracket on. These bolts right here are going to have to, you're going to have to figure the length out on these bolts. Put some good grade 8s in there. Put sealer on them. I'm not going to put knuckle lube in there, so you can put sealer in there, and the threads will be clean and accept the sealer. So your caliper bracket's going to go on there, so you need longer bolts. So I'll put 2 bolts in here. You take those out, put your bracket on there, new bolts with sealer, put your hub on there, and you'll be ready to go. And then obviously your caliper will go on here. Not your caliper. Mine's crazy today. Your rotor will go on here. You'll put your bracket on here, which is going to hold the caliper. Rotor goes on there. So not too difficult. When you get everything, it'll be in one box. It'll be in that that tub that you brought. Everything will be in this blue tub. That's your critical stuff in there. I've got the rear hubs and all your rear stuff in there. Rear axle parts, seals and everything. And I will get the front hubs loaded in here. And this box is going to contain all your pieces necessary for final assembly. Okay, David, here is the rear axle. As you're going to pick it up, I have the ends in some shrink wrap there. And like I said, there's no lube in there, but I'm going to give you lube. And the front, I still got to put these wipers in, but I have the axles in. You've got your nut and your washers here, and your snap ring. There's a little snap ring there, and that's going to go on after you put your hub or your drive flange, whatever you're going to use. This will go in and out, and you'll put your hub on there, and then before you put the outer dial on or whatever you use there, you put the snap ring on and you put the outer one on. So you got a snap ring on both sides. I've got 2 bolts holding the spindle on. Like I say, those bolts will come out. Caliper bracket will go on. Get the right size bolts. Put your knuckle lube in there. I find it's easy to put the knuckle lube in. If you take a Ziploc bag or something, take a little nozzle off like a differential lube container that I'm going to give you. Stick that in the corner, tape it in real good, fill up the bag with the lube, and just squeeze it in through the fill hole. That works real good. You could use a old Mason's grout bag. I've seen some guys use that. You could use a suction gun. You know, the kind like you draw oil out of something. You could fill that up with grease and just push that in through the gun. But it's not hard to get it in there. Put the vehicle together, get it in operating position, have your springs in and everything, and then open up the fill plug and fill up your knuckle with the lube. And when you put these bolts in, it's dry in here right now. The bearings are greased and the spindle bushing is greased. But these threads in the knuckle are nice and dry. So put some sealer on whatever bolts you use that go in here, and that'll keep the lubricant from leaking out. I want to show this knuckle one more time. Jack, this is what this is going to look like. You see how the knuckle doesn't hit any part of the ball here. When you get your seal in there, that's all that rides on there. That's gonna ride like that. So, like I say, this doesn't have to be perfect. If they're real rusty, I'll sand them with some 80 grit and then polish them up. But this has a little bit of light rust on it, but it's very smooth. And same thing on this side. Got a big space in here. And you get your rubber, and that rides on there. Like I say, there's grease right behind there, so the rubber is always lubricated. And as long as that's semi-clean when you start, you'll be fine. And you put your felt over there. I still got to put the metal pieces on, but I just wanted to give you a view of it. You know, with no seal on there, so you could see. So, I will get this one, I'll get these knuckles finished up. I will put some stretch wrap around here so it's protected and we don't lose anything. And I've got a few more things to do and get you finished up. And I will catch up with you Friday perhaps. If I'm still around when you drop off your trailer, David, I will see you Friday night, or if I'm not here, I will catch up with you on Monday as planned. I think, I'm not sure what date that is. 13th is Friday. Maybe the 16th I'll catch up with you. And we'll get you loaded up and on your way. And you are one step closer to getting Snuggles the Jeep all finished up. And hopefully in time for your big trail ride that's coming up. So, hope you enjoyed the series of seeing your axles get rebuilt, and I will see you when you get here. Have a good trip, be safe, and I'll catch up with you soon. And to everybody else, thanks for watching, and not sure what I'm going to show you next. I think we're going to get working on that CJ5 body and start knocking those dents out and cutting out all the rusty metal and putting that back together. So more stuff coming, and I will catch you on the next video.